Hi, this is Professor Lucien, and this is the updated, as of spring 2020, Lecture 11. Every year, the Bureau of Labor Statistics puts out new reports, fatalities, and recordable OSHA injuries. And those numbers don't change a lot, but I want to just quickly go over some of the basics, and then invite you to look at some of the things I've posted and some of the links. So Bureau of Labor Statistics, they do more than safety. They do employment and all kinds of stuff, or unemployment, I should say. So you can get a lot of great information around the U.S. from this website, but we're going to focus specifically on the workplace injuries. So I do invite you to go there. The two reports that I've posted for you, the updated versions, they cover 2018. There's always a lag from when a year ends and they start analyzing, collecting the data when the reports come out. So in December of 2019, the 2018 reports came out. So there's about a year lag there. So let's look into those. Before I do, I want you to realize what an incidence rate is. Out on the street, people call it incident rate, an injury incident rate. They do that just, it's just like calling a tissue a Kleenex. It's just people getting lazy with it, but it still means the same thing. There are several different forms of incidence rates that we use in this field. First would be the total case incidence rate, which is the adding up of the OSHA recordables and then multiplying times 200,000 divided by the hours worked. Now the 200,000, I've got it broken down on the bottom. It basically represents 100 full-time equivalencies. So the number of hours worked is estimated to be about 2,000 hours a year, which is 40 hours a week, 50 hours a year. And so that is meant to be a rate. So it's the number of cases, whether it's total case or days away, restricted transfer, which I have on bullet 3. And it's meant to be a comparison so that companies can compare themselves to their peers. There are issues with the injury and illness data on BLS. They actually have a link in which they have investigated it, and it varies. It's just they want to be open and honest with how to interpret what the reports are saying. Now, this is 1992 to 2013, the number of fatalities in the workplace. And you can see there was a peak here in 94, and then it kind of goes down, down, down. 2013 is the last year. Now I'm going to show you the updated data. It has come up. And it's interesting. From year to year, they provide different tables. It doesn't help us at all. It'd be nice if we had the same every year so we could actually compare from year to year. Here it shows that in 2013, the industry with the greatest number of fatalities was construction. But from a rate perspective, they calculate a fatality rate similar to the incidence rate we just talked about, but it's per 100,000 full-time equivalent workers. So for incidence rate for just injury, recordable injuries, it's 100. For fatalities, it's 100,000. That's a difference of 10 to the third or 1,000. So based on fatality rate, this industry, agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting, is the most dangerous or the most deadly. It has the greatest number of deaths in the work while doing work per 100,000. Number 2 would be transportation, warehousing. Number 3 is mining, quarry, and then construction is third from a rate perspective. We'll look at those again, or we'll try to. These are the primary causes, at least in 2013. Transportation accidents is always number 1. And then the next 3, they jump around a little bit. The next one would be, and it's just a slight bit more here, and that is violence is 17%. And then for this year, slips, trips, and falls in contact with objects shared 16. So these 4 make up, about 85 to 90% of the causes of fatalities. And here's more information about that. These are the non-fatal. These are the recordables. This is pretty consistent. So recordables, the number 1 cause for a very long time, and will probably be for a while, is overexertion. So ergonomic related things. Number 2 is slip, trips, and falls. Number 3 is contact with object. And so these big 3 account for 2/3 to 80% of these. So I would like to do is take you to some of the things I provided to you, things that will help you. Here we've got the Canvas site. I'm going to be adding this video just right here. And so I want you to look at these different PDFs that I provided and go to these links. Everything will help you complete the study sheet and prepare for the quiz. So the first report is the CFOI, or the Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries, and I had referred to this earlier. This chart is different than the one I had in the PowerPoint. I understand that, but you see it's still per 100,000 workers. So in 2018, the rate itself stayed pretty constant to what it was in 2017. Again, I think before we started somewhere over here, as you can see, it's kind of leveled off. As far as the actual numbers, so this is a count, it actually has gone up now, at least from last year, and it is above what it was in 16. Where 2008 was the last time we had this many people die at work. That was right before the economic downturn. You can read this, and it gives you an indication of what's going up, what's going down. I do know this, and I want you to read that. Transportation accidents, they've been number one for a long time. Slip, trips, and fall, balance, and conics, they're the contact with object. They're our next three. And you see they kind of bounce around. It looks like here that, it's kind of hard to tell. I want you to read which one is leading, because that's one of the questions for a quiz. What are the top three? Transportation is number one, but then I want you to see in 2018 which one is higher. I can't tell visually. You're going to have to look that up. For the OSHA recordables, which is the Survey of Occupational Injury and Illness, the rates are per 100 full-time equivalencies. It's really leveled off, as you can see right here. And as far as the days away job restriction, they've leveled off too. If we look at a trend, though, I think that the rounding error makes the restricted transfer go up. Here's by occupations, and they give us different information every year, so sometimes it's difficult to draw any sort of conclusions. They do have this interesting package here. We can take a look at it. So this is what I meant by the restricted transfer. It's gone up a tick, and I think it's because of the restriction. It's a rounding, possibly. But if you look at everything here, it's like the first time it's ever ticked up. The first time since 2003. Here is the, I think this is private industry. This is just private industry. If you bring in government, they go up a little bit. So the U.S. private industry is 2.8. I believe it's probably like 3 or 3.2 if you include government. Here it shows you, and it's got the titles up here. You can I want you to peruse these, because you're going to be answering some of these questions as far as which industry has the highest rate, which one had the highest numbers, things like that. And is there anything? So you can see here the government is higher. I don't want to speak too much more, because I want you to go in and have fun here. Here is the Wisconsin. I think that's one of the quiz questions or something. It's 3.6. I can show you where to find that on the BLS. And here it shows overexertion has actually gone down considerably, especially compared to all the others. Slip, trip, and fall has had a tick up. Contact with object. So these are the big three. I had pointed that out before. But it's interesting that overexertion has come down so much, though it's still in dominant first place. And then sprains, strains, tears, that falls under overexertion, is a dominant amount. You can kind of see the comparison there. And then they've got some rates. So please look at this. I think it's interesting. But what I'd like to do now is quickly bring you to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I'm going to kind of zoom it in a little bit. I'm going to wrap this up in like a minute here. Under subjects, you go to workplace injuries. And here's everything you need. Over here on the right, they have the latest numbers. You're going to want to make note of that. Down here, if you want information about a particular state, you can do that. And what it'll do, it'll take you to the actual source. And so here's Wisconsin, hit go, and you can get information. This layout is kind of confusing sometimes. So make sure you just read what's here. They've got some featured articles. They got some, so here it talks a little bit about the fatalities and the employer rate. What I do to get those reports, here is the non-fatal injury, which is the OSHA recordables. Here's the fatality rate. If I click on that, it gives me all the information I want. So 2018, a interactive thing, 2017, 2016. So this is where I got the overall reports, and you can click and find anything you want. And then when it comes to the OSHA recordables, here they are. So here's where I got the chart data. Here's the PDF of the news release. That's what we just looked at. And then you can look at some more detailed information as you go here, because I think I'm asking you to identify the industries that are most dangerous. I showed you what it was in 2013. Find what it is for 2018, and what were the primary causes. It's going to probably be the same, but I still want you to take a look. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's all I really wanted to cover here in this presentation.